Well, it's final now. Let's talk about it. What I want to talk about today is a little off brand, and it really dives into more of what's going on in my personal life right now. Um, so, for those of you who know me personally, you kind of know what the past year to year and a half has been like for me. So, last March, I suffered a stroke. Um, really rocked my world. And where I've been able to make a recovery, that road was really hard. But part of that road um, was that last summer when I flew down to see my mom, she ended up passing. Um, 2 days after she passed, I got divorce papers from my now ex wife. And impeccable timing indeed. But long story short, guys, I ended up going through that whole entire process, and in the end, um, got through it, and it's pretty amicable. We have joint custody of our child. She does have primary placement because, well, how can I put this? I'm basically having to start over. I'm staying with friends right now, have been for several months, and having to basically start over. But that's the way these things go when you're a guy. You lose the house, you lose the car, so on and so forth. It is what it is. But anyway, I wanted to hop on here, and I know this is not photography or videography related, but I wanted to hop on here and I wanted to talk for just a few minutes about some of the lessons that I've learned going through this process. And maybe if you're going through this process, this can help you in some way. One of the most amazing concepts that I've run across in reading the Bible is in the Bible book of Second Corinthians. It talks about how we go through things in life for the purpose of using those experiences to help other people. And so that's definitely something that I want to do. And so I just wanted to get on here and talk for a few minutes about some of the lessons that I've learned over really the past year. But in going through this whole entire divorce process, what have I learned? How did I come through it? And maybe in some way this could help you as well. So, the first thing I want you to know is that you are not alone. You're not alone. Millions of people go through this process every single year. It does feel very isolating, especially in our own little, modern bubble where everybody's constantly on their phone and people aren't talking to one another necessarily. But, I want you to know first and foremost that you're not alone. You can find your people. And, what I mean by that is, people would always tell me that, you got to find your people, whether it be in the arts or whether it be when I was a student at seminary, whatever it might be, the people that you relate to, the people that you're friends with, that type thing, you've got to find those that have commonality with you. And I think in today's world, it is very easy to do, relatively speaking. And something else, too, I'll mention along these lines as well. I think a lot of times when you go through a divorce, you feel like you're damaged goods and that type thing. And I don't think in the modern world, in the modern times in which we're living, that that's the case. This isn't 1962 anymore. And millions of people go through divorce every single year. Find people that you can relate to, people that you can talk to. And, lean on those people. And that kind of leads me to my next point. And that's that as you're going through this process, grow closer to the people um, who stand with you and help you through this. One thing that I found out in this whole process is who my friends really are. I'll give you an example. The folks that I'm staying with, Paul and LaDonna, um, I tell you, Paul and I were kind of friends beforehand, and now we're definitely friends. And, you know, these are two people that stood with me through this process who, on the worst days of it going through the divorce, they would listen to me vent and help me process things and gave me someone that I could use as a sounding board. My buddy Walt and Jason, there's so many others I wish I could mention that have helped me through this process. But what I found going through it is, you've got to lean on the people that stand with you. And as you're going through the process, you're going to need people. That's one thing that I've learned over the last few years in particular, is that this idea that you can be the lone ranger and you can make it through by yourself. Well, you might be able to, but is that really necessary? Is it really wise? And the truth is, it's not necessary, and it's very unwise to try and do it like that, because when you have people, you're going to be happier. It's going to be easier. We all need people in our life to stand with us and help us through times of difficulty. Like I said, that concept in Second Corinthians about when we go through things, we use our experiences that we've been through to help other people and help them process things. And so I just hope in the future I can pay it forward, for those that have helped me through this process. And all this leads me to my third point, and this is kind of a converse of point number two, but remember those who didn't. Remember the people who didn't stand with you, who didn't have time to talk, who didn't have time to help you process through things. Remember those people, because I don't really give a crap what they have to say. If they didn't have time for you through this process, they're not your friends. You're not really that close with them. I've got friends of mine that when I first started going through the divorce process said, yeah, man, I'm going to be there. And if you need anything, give me a call. Well, I gave them a call and they never answered the phone. So your status has changed, by the way, if you're watching this and you know who you are. Yeah, we're not friends anymore. Because the people that stand with you, yeah, gravitate toward those people, the people that help you. And I'm not talking, by the way, I'm not talking about, your drinking buddies and crap like that. No, I'm talking about the people that at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep, and you can't shut your brain off, you can call them up and actually have a conversation with them about what you're experiencing. Okay? And I'm not talking about those that help you have unhealthy habits and lead you down bad paths. Yeah, they might be around through this process, but are they the people you need around you? No. I'll admit, I've given up, even having beers pretty much, as I've gone through this process, because I just don't want to go down a dark path. So, no, I'm not saying hang out and remain close with all the people that, you drank with and whatever with. And, I'm not trying to put too fine a point on it, but my whole point is that, be closer to the people who stood with you, but you also need to remember those that didn't. Because the fair weather friends are going to come out of the woodwork after you get through this process. And, oh man, I knew you'd make it. And, oh man, I wish I could have been there, but, and then they list all these bullcrap excuses. Yeah. Mm-mm. Remember those who didn't stand with you, who didn't help you, who made things more difficult for you. I'm not going to mention names and all that here because this is a public forum and I don't really get into the specifics when it comes to my personal life, as far as who and all that type stuff. But what I will say is that I've got a long memory. And now that things are finalized, yeah, some things are not going to be forgotten. Some things I'm not going to move on from. I'll forgive, but I don't forget. And I'm not trying to sound like this vengeful person or this angry divorcee. No, it's not like that. It's called self-preservation. It's called knowing who you can talk to and who you can depend on and who you can't. Because undoubtedly there are going to be other times of difficulty that are going to happen in life. And you don't need to reach out for the wrong people. You don't need to trust the wrong people. You know, one of the things I learned years ago, and this has served me well in life, when I want to know who I can and can't trust. Like, I'll give you an example. I was working with a church in Louisiana at the time, and I wanted to know what members I could trust and couldn't trust. And so what I did was I told a piece of information that was true, but a piece of information nonetheless. And I told different pieces of information to different people. And then I simply waited to see what came through the grapevine and what came back to me. And I very quickly and efficiently, I may add, understood where the lines of communication were in the church and who I could trust and who I couldn't trust. Folks, it was literally that simple to figure out all of that. So yeah, to wrap this up, you know, just understand, going through a divorce, you're not alone. You're not by yourself. Find your people to depend on. And that leads directly into number 2, grow closer to those who stand with you through this process. Undoubtedly, there are going to be people who don't stand with you, who don't help you. And okay, that's fine, but find your people. Find the people that you can depend on. Find somewhere where you can have a sense of community and a sense of support in your life, because we all need that. If nothing else, for our very mental health, it's important to have these things. And then finally, remember those who didn't. The people who didn't stand with you, the people who didn't help you, the people who were not there for you. Don't forget that those people weren't there, that they didn't help you through the process. And simply don't depend on those people. I'm not saying you have to make them excommunicado from your life, but what I'm saying is don't depend on those people. Don't trust those people, because it's not worth it. So anyway, guys, those are 3 things to remember when you're going through a divorce. If you have any thoughts, comments, put them down below. I do read all my comments, and I know this is off brand. I know this is a channel for photography and videography, and yeah, I've got videos and such that I'm working on right now. But if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, because periodically I am going to make videos like this. Like, yeah, I'm going to make videos about gear and photography and some of the trips and stuff that I go on. But every once in a while, I'm just going to have more of a vlog style interview like this, where I just simply sit down and I talk to the camera. And I hope that in some way that this, as well as any of the videos I make like this, but especially a video about a divorce, something that happens to so many different people and is so painful and difficult, I hope that this could help someone. So Anyway, guys, you know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, all that crap. And I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.